With polygons, I like to start with having a circle drawn, and you'll see in a second why. So the polygon command is located up here under the rectangle drop down. To launch it with shortcuts, it's just POL and spacebar. So the first thing it's going to ask you is how many sides. So with a polygon, it's going to be defined as anything with 3 or more sides. I think it's up to 254 sides. So we're going to start with 3. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. And hit spacebar. Then it's going to ask us to define, and we're going to show you how to draw it first with defining it by the center of the polygon. That's why I drew this circle. Okay, and to get to snap to this point, this geometry here, you can use the O snaps here. Okay, these are the object snaps, and what you want to do is again enable it by making it highlighted light blue. And then you'll notice that you have to define what piece of geometry it's going to snap to. So it's a good idea not to have all these selected. So I've just selected a few. In this case, I'm going to, for this point, I'm going to do midpoint, center, and the quadrant. Those are the ones I want to use. So the way to get to the center is to obviously just get as close as you can to it. You see a circle. And you'll see the word center next to it. So it's going to snap to the object center for the circle. You can also get there by hovering typically on this line, but what happens is it jumps these quadrants. So all you need to do is just get to the center, see that, and click. And then we're given 2 choices. We're going to inscribe, meaning inside this circle, or circumscribe. So we're going to try the inscribe first, and we're going to define it by somewhere along this circle. So I'm going to click here, the quadrant. And so this polygon is drawn inside the circle. Okay, so this part of the triangle connects right to there. So this triangle is tangent to these 3 points. Okay. Now, if we were to draw it using the circumscribe, let's look what that would look like. Again, I'm just going to hit spacebar to repeat the command. We're going to do 3 sides. Let's snap to the center of this polygon, and I'm just going to click there, and I'm going to choose circumscribe now, and I'm going to use this quadrant. And so now it's drawn outside this circle that we've defined, and it's tangent to the circle at these 3 spots. So you can notice quite a large difference in the size of this polygon. Okay. Now, the more sides that you add, the less this difference is, but it is pretty pronounced when we just use 3 sides. Now, let's look at another way we can draw this, and we'll just hit spacebar, and let's say, okay, let's do 3 again. And instead of the center, we can do the drop down, okay, and pull up edge, or we can just simply type in E. And what you're doing is you're defining what this length is on the side, okay. I'm going to turn my O snaps on because I don't need those anymore. And then I'm just going to fix that first point, and then it's just going to ask me what the length is of my second point. Will help define that, or I can specify it. In this case, I'm going to do it by 4. I'm going to tab it over and then make sure that's 0. So it's perfectly straight there. And there we go. We have a triangle that is 3-sided, obviously, but the lengths of the sides are exactly 4. And you can repeat this process with more than just 3 sides. So let's just clear that out. And let's do 5. Do a pentagon. All right. Or let's do an octagon. All right. So again, I'm going to do POL. I'm going to turn my O snaps on again. I'm going to choose 8 sides. And I'm going to specify the center of this. Yep, there we go. I got center on. And click there. I'm going to do inscribe for this one, and I'm just going to click to that quadrant, and there it is. Okay, and again, I can repeat this process by using edge, and that would be the polygon. right, now the last command I want to show you to use is going to be the ellipse, okay, and that's located up here, okay, and generally with ellipses, I tend to use the drop downs because they're very specific. So there are two ways to draw a ellipse, a whole ellipse, and then you have the ellipse arch, which works very similar to the first one. So the first one that we're going to use is where we define the center, okay, of this, and then for my first point there, and then we got to define the what we call the axis, okay. So a ellipse has two axes, a minor and a major, okay. And with that in mind, we're going to draw the first one. So I'm just going to choose to use center. So I can specify my center point there, tab it over, and I'm going to do 8. Okay, so that's the center. And then it's going to define the major axis or minor, X and Y. Major just means it's large. So let's zoom in here, and I'm going to specify, say I'll do 4. I'll tab it over. I'm going to set it at 0, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to specify my minor. Okay, and you can see in this case I'm going to choose 2. I'm going to tab it over, and I'm going to specify 2, tab, and then just 2, and enter. And so that is a distance from here to here is 2, and from here to here is 4. Okay, so you can see I'll just do approximate distances there and there. So that's how we define this particular one. Now it looks a little different than the circle, but very similar. Again, the center one moves it. The outside ones change the different axes, whether it be the one on the Y or the one on the X. So very similar. Now the other way of drawing it is where we're going to define the axis ends. Okay. So again, I'm going to specify this axis. Okay. And again, I'll do, say, 6. I'm going to tab it over. Let's make it straight, 0. And then I just define this one. And I'll put in 2. And there we go. That's defined by the axis directly. Okay? Very similar to the first one. And now it is the same. Now, the last one is kind of an ellipse arch. Again, something I really don't use a whole lot. And you can see that here. I don't use this. I'll just be honest with you. I don't think there's a cause to use this. Generally, what I like to do is draw the full ellipse, and then I just trim it out. It just, you're defining it, and then the same as you did the axis ends. But I feel that it is much easier to draw the full ellipse and then trim it out. Okay, and when we get to the commands, modify commands, we're going to show you some of those.